Within modern-day mass media, the news is one of the highest-reaching parts of the system of information. Whether it's the televised local news, nightly news, internet articles, or the paper, nearly every person receives some type of news almost daily. And although some companies have their biases and others a lack of focus, overall they demonstrate the problems and actions occurring within our nation. One major problem they represent to all of the people they reach existing within their own stations is the marginalization of women in the workforce. Looking into sports media, morning and nightly news, as well as journalistic news coverage, our group has analyzed and discovered that despite the progress women have made in order to gain more equality, there is still a long way to go before that equality is fully realized. Ever since its origins, sports has been a male-dominated aspect of society. As women gained more rights and equality over the course of history, with some help from legislation such as Title IX, women have carved out a significant role for themselves in the sports world. Athletic participation for women has seen a noteworthy increase, as well as occupations in the sports industry. Women have become highly involved in many aspects of the industry, but for the purpose of our project, we decided to focus on their role in sports television. Women have become a staple in sports television, seemingly involved in almost every telecast, from studio shows to live broadcasts. I will be evaluating gender's role in this sports television to see if women have really made significant strides and what issues still exist. Stereotypically, women in sports television fit the same mold, usually heavily beautified and sexualized, serving as simply moderators or sideline reporters. For example, on the main NBA network, TNT, all of the broadcasters and analysts are male, except for alternate Candace Parker, a WNBA player. Of the 8 sideline reporters, 5 are female and 3 are male. While this is still admirable that women have become the majority at this position, and sideline reporter is an important job and definitely one where skill and sports knowledge are needed, it has become a stereotype that has hurt women almost as much as their increased participation has helped them. It has set a precedent and somewhat of a ceiling of where women could participate in sports, and appearance factoring in at an unfair rate. There are obviously outliers, such as Doris Burke, who has worked her way up to serving as a color commentator for the NBA on ESPN. Moreover, in studio shows, while women are involved in basically every program, their roles are often limited. This can be clearly seen through the 3 main national sports debate shows, ESPN's First Take, Fox Sports 1's Undisputed, and First Things First. Molly Karam, Joy Taylor, and Jenna Wolfe each are highly glamorized and rarely given a chance to offer their opinions, serving as just moderators and basically only there to move along the show and to be a pretty face. Women have definitely become more involved in many aspects of the world of sports today, a huge positive, but gender roles and societal expectations have restricted them to certain positions in the media, and not until these stereotypes are destroyed will each gender finally be viewed as equals in this realm.
It seems that when it comes to the primetime evening news programs and correspondence within those programs, there's a fairly obvious trend in how men and women are represented. For years, men have predominantly held the arguably most important positions on evening news programs, main anchors. Evening news of any television news is most widely consumed and generally most trusted. In the industry, there's a lot of competition to gain the most viewers and highest ratings. Of all networks, NBC, ABC, and CBS have the highest ratings, most competition, and most viewers. And one thing they all have in common is that their main anchors are men. Now, let's take a deeper look into each of those networks. Here is ABC World News Tonight, and their anchors over the past 50 or so years. Here is NBC Nightly News, and here, CBS Evening News. Fairly clearly what we see is that men have completely dominated these most trusted positions as main anchors for the evening news. With the exception of perhaps 2 anchors, every other one is a man. Notable to say, however, is that Diane Sawyer, one of the most famous journalists in the business, anchored ABC World News Tonight just a few years ago, and Katie Couric anchored CBS back in 2011 as well. It's hard to say that men get better ratings when women don't even get the chance to be represented. In recent years, however, women have been much better represented during the weekend editions of these same programs. All 3 programs, in fact, have a woman anchor on the weekend news. It's hard to tell exactly what this indicates, but it is true viewership is usually lower on the weekends. Whether or not this move is intentional or not is unclear, but regardless, these positions are still very impressive and still essentially mark the top of the chain in the TV news industry. Another area where this playing field is more level, literally a field, is field reporting and correspondence. At NBC, for example, the split is close to 50-50, although men still hold a few more of these positions, with 18 men and only 2 fewer women correspondents. These correspondents report on issues from the White House to severe weather, foreign civil war. At ABC, it's 21 women and 31 men, a little less even, and at CBS, finally 39 men and 27 women. This evening of the playing field has been a priority in recent years, and many more women have been able to grab these important roles, bringing the news to screens of millions from around the world. Although there is farther to come in the realm of evening news equality, things have been improving.
Similar to the studio shows of the sports world, as far as morning news coverage is concerned, women are there to gain viewers, not just speak about the news. According to the Women's Media Center, certain media sources such as Fox News tend to over-sexualize their women anchors, primarily in the mornings, and focus on aspects like hair color and how they look over the quality of their reporting. This reportedly increases male viewerships to their channels and increases overall viewerships in the morning time. At such a difficult time in the day to be up and watching the news, these major companies hire attractive women, glamorize them further, and add news about things such as small fads in popular culture and internet videos to have the highest viewer count possible at such an early time. What's more, even though analyzing the Google search of morning news anchors versus nighttime news anchors, one can see that more often than not, the pictures of morning news anchors being primarily women when the nighttime news anchors are primarily men. This demonstrates that although there is a small amount of gender diversity between the two airtimes, it is well known that generally more women do the morning news and more men do the nightly news. Although gains have definitely been made, women are still the minority in the world of journalism. According to the Tyndall report, they receive around 32% of total airtime compared to the total time a man is on, sourcing the airtimes of CBS, NBC, and ABC. News and the way it is broadcasted is a crucial part of society's understanding of the current events of the nation and the world. By neglecting to put women in their shows, news stations across the country impact everyone who views them, perpetuating the standard that men are who you get your news from and are overall more contributing, trustworthy, and knowledgeable members of society. By having both genders equally represented and equally valued in all forms of the media, this view can rightfully be altered and equality can be achieved.